The F-22 Raptor is a marvel, but what if I told you the Northrop YF-23 was almost better? In fact, the Northrop YF-23 almost took its place. Almost. Here's why it didn't. Back in 1981, the Air Force kicked off an exciting chapter by sending out a request for information to the top dogs in the aircraft industry. 7 companies threw their hats in the ring, presenting 19 different proposals over the ensuing months. Each design showcased a unique blend of stealth, agility, top-notch radar, advanced avionics, and the ability to supercruise, maintaining supersonic speeds without the afterburner. Fast forward to 1986, and the Air Force crowned the initial program winners, Lockheed with its YF-22 concept, and Northrop with the YF-23. Instead of waving goodbye to the other 5 contenders, the Air Force encouraged them to team up with the 2 chosen contractors. Lockheed teamed up with Boeing, while Northrop joined forces with McDonnell Douglas. Over the next 4 years, Lockheed and Northrop fine-tuned their designs as part of the Advanced Tactical Fighter competition, aiming to create the Air Force's ultimate air superiority fighter. Lockheed's YF-22 emphasized thrust vectoring, adding maneuverability by directing engine thrust. Northrop's YF-23, on the other hand, took a different route. Northrop engineers believed they could achieve similar benefits without the extra weight of thrust vectoring nozzles. Instead, they opted for single expansion ramp nozzles, CERNs. These nozzles channel engine thrust through troughs lined with transpiration-cooled tiles, a technique borrowed from the B-2 bomber. This not only dissipates heat to reduce infrared signatures, but also makes it tougher for ground-launched IR missiles to lock on. In this high-stakes showdown, Lockheed and Northrop raced to bring their innovative designs to life, each hoping to clinch the title of the Air Force's go-to air superiority fighter. The YF-23's airframe was a marvel, sporting diamond-shaped wings and a V-tail that enhanced stealth without compromising aerodynamics. This design made the aircraft lighter and potentially faster than the YF-22, though the speed debate persists. 2 prototypes were built, the Gray Ghost, also known as PAV-1, and Spider, or PAV-2. They were equipped with different engines. One had the Pratt & Whitney YF-119, and the other featured the General Electric YF-120. The YF-23 and YF-22 prototypes were neck and neck in terms of performance. Both packed engines with 35,000 pounds of thrust, could reach speeds of Mach 2.2, and had comparable combat ranges, yet some distinctions set them apart. The YF-23 was lighter and boasted a maximum range of 4,800 kilometers, outpacing the YF-22's 3,200 kilometers. Its airframe was nearly invisible to radar, rivaling the stealth of the B-2 bomber, potentially offering superior stealth over the YF-22. Speed-wise, the YF-23 excelled, especially in transonic flight, an essential trait for modern beyond visual range (BVR) engagements, particularly at high altitudes. Its design enabled supercruise up to Mach 1.6 without afterburners, preserving fuel and maintaining stealth for extended periods during BVR missions. With afterburners, it was rumored to hit Mach 2.6, surpassing the YF-22's Mach 2.2, although these top speeds remain unverified publicly. When it came down to agility, the F-22 emerged as the clear winner. Northrop's choice to ditch thrust vectoring had its consequences, most notably in terms of lower speed performance. Even though the YF-23 was lighter, it couldn't match the nimble maneuvers at near-stall speeds that thrust vectoring allowed. The YF-23's performance data often references test pilot Paul Metz, a Vietnam veteran who got the chance to fly it during the Advanced Tactical Fighter program. Metz had a first-hand look at the aircraft's capabilities, albeit in a demonstrator role. Later, he flew a pre-production version of the F-22, which had already won the Advanced Tactical Fighter competition by then. Having piloted both planes, Metz provides valuable insights into the YF-23's prowess. He particularly recalls its impressive performance in high angle of attack scenarios, where it could operate at trimmed angles up to 60 degrees. While the F-22 could achieve similar feats, it needed thrust vectoring to do so. Metz believed the YF-23 not only held its own, but might have even outperformed the F-22. His assessment came after he started flying pre-production F-22s, which were more advanced than the competition's demonstrators. The exact reasons behind his judgment remain murky, likely tied to classified information about both aircraft. Metz highlighted that Northrop's engineers were arguably the best in the field, but their presentations were heavy on technical jargon, as one might expect. On the flip side, Lockheed understood the value of marketing and making a lasting impression. After all, not everyone making purchasing decisions is a technical expert, so they put on a show aimed squarely at those decision makers. The real competition kicked off with the unveiling of the two rival airframes. Northrop's YF-23 made its debut at Edwards Air Force Base on June 22, 1990. This first YF-23, nicknamed Gray Ghost or PAV-1, went through a battery of ground tests in the following weeks before its maiden flight on August 27th. Metz recalls the flight as smooth, with the aircraft performing solidly, so much so that the F-16 Escort had to engage its afterburner to keep up with the Pratt & Whitney-powered YF-23. The very next day, Lockheed unveiled their YF-22 prototype. In a bid to keep up the momentum, Northrop swiftly greenlit a mid-air refueling test for the YF-23's fourth flight. Following a KC-135, the YF-23 spent 3 hours connecting and disconnecting at different speeds, showcasing its capabilities. The fifth flight marked the first supersonic test, which also went off without a hitch. By the 11th flight, all final pilot checks had been successfully completed. The second aircraft, dubbed Spider or PAV-2, came on the scene on October 26, 1990. Equipped with GE engines, test pilot Jim Sandberg took it for its inaugural flight. But this is where the Northrop team started to hit some bumps. On October 30th, 1990, test pilot Bill Lowe had a harrowing experience when the outer layer of his windscreen shattered on the Gray Ghost while flying at Mach 1.5. Thankfully, the polycarbonate layer held firm, allowing for a safe return. Shortly after, the Spider encountered the same issue, which posed a significant problem. This wasn't just a dangerous flaw. Any compromise to the windscreen's integrity would spike the radar cross-section, thus diminishing the aircraft's stealth capabilities. The troubles didn't stop there. PAV-2's second flight also ran into snags. After takeoff, one of the GE engines acted up and refused to accelerate, forcing a single-engine landing. During the third flight, a near-disastrous situation unfolded when a blocked line caused the fuel tanks to overpressurize. Fortunately, this issue was caught before the aircraft climbed too high, allowing for another safe landing. Both PAV-1 and PAV-2 needed some maintenance to iron out their issues, and it seems that this worked out pretty well. The Gray Ghost and Spider took to the skies together for the first and only time on November 29, 1990, piloted by Metz and Sandberg over the Mojave Desert. The following day, PAV-1 had its final flight before being retired. As funding dwindled and the program neared its conclusion, the focus shifted to PAV-2 in the subsequent month. Reports suggest that new supercruise capabilities were tested, though the speed results were never made public. The end was near for PAV-2 as well. On December 18th, it took to the skies with Lockheed's YF-22 prototype for a 15-minute photo op, the only time these two aircraft flew together. Later that day, test pilot Ron Taco Johnson flew the aircraft on its final 2-hour test mission. In the months that followed, both YF-23s stayed grounded. Aside from a few taxi runs to maintain their airworthiness, they never flew again. The YF-23 program officially ended on April 23, 1991, when the YF-22 was chosen as the aircraft of choice. The Air Force contracted Lockheed to produce the F-22 Raptor, cementing it as America's top fighter. The F-22 incorporated proven design principles and technologies from other aircraft, contrasting sharply with the more radical YF-23, which was likely seen as too risky. Given that this was intended to be the frontline fighter, minimizing risks was a priority. The YF-23 also didn't have a demonstration-ready weapons bay, as it wasn't required for the competition, possibly raising doubts about its reliability and stealth capabilities. Consequently, both YF-23s were put into storage and eventually sent to museums. Additionally, other offshoots from the program, including schematics for the production F-23 variant and the proposed Navy variant, NAT F-23, were shelved. These days, the YF-23 is a darling among aviation buffs. With its unique design, high-tech features, and performance that could rival the F-22, it has earned quite the following. Enthusiasts love to speculate about how the F-22 stacks up against the YF-23, and this debate probably won't die down anytime soon, especially while we're still waiting for all the data to come out. Though the YF-23 might not have been as polished as the F-22, pilots who had the chance to fly both swear it was a fierce competitor in the skies with loads of untapped potential.